Hey friends, Irene Lane here. Welcome to this video, to this YouTube channel, and to this world of healing trauma, nervous system health, and all things neuroplasticity. To those of you who are here brand new, and this is your first ever video here, thank you. I have got many videos to teach you about all these topics around healing trauma and working at this somatic body-based level, which is so important right now. Today I wanted to define something. So teach you a concept that is well known in the fields of somatic experiencing. Somatic experiencing. This is the work that was founded by Peter Levine. He is someone that I have had the pleasure of working alongside at master classes. It's one of the things I am trained in, to work with people in my practice and in my group programs. So Peter has done amazing work for the field of trauma recovery and nervous system healing. And the topic that I wanted to talk about is titration. I'm going to say that one more time. Titration. And this is an important topic and principle to understand when we are working with stored traumatic stress, when we're working with adversity and a person who has lived with overwhelm and intense emotion and sensation, even physical sickness for very long. And the concept titration, Peter actually co-opted and took from organic chemistry. So I'm going to define a few of these terms, first from the organic chemistry point of view, and then from his point of view, I'm going to quote a small passage from one of his books. The reason why we need to understand titration is because we need to ensure when we're doing this work that we go slow, that we go drop by drop, bit by bit. We don't want to overwhelm and overload the system more than it already is. And we know by definition that trauma and trauma getting stuck in the body and survival stress staying in the body is occurring when the person, the human being, cannot process and integrate what is occurring to them. Things are either coming too quickly so that they cannot integrate and make sense of what's happening and release that trauma. It also might be happening because these experiences, these bad, scary things happen to us when we were too darn young to know what to do with all the overwhelm and all of the sensation and emotion. And so as adults, as big people, as I like to call us, when we are older, when we are working with this stuff consciously, volitionally, we want to be darn sure that we are not putting more input into the system than what it can handle. Also important to understand that part of healing trauma at this nervous system level, at this body-based somatic level, is feeling the tough stuff. It is feeling the survival energies, the anxieties, the fears, the pains. It is confronting the images in our memory from scary things that happened to us. If we don't reprocess and integrate those things, they stay stuck. But we don't want to overwhelm the system so much that we are trapped in a cycle, in a tornado, if you will, of past memories, past experiences, past sensations, overwhelming things. This is what re-traumatization is. So to work with traumatic experience that's stored in the system, we have to touch into the trauma. We have to feel the survival energies. We have to feel the uncomfortable emotions, but we have to do so in small ways so that we don't overwhelm and essentially put the system into more chaos or shut it down completely so that it disconnects. So definitions, and then again, one from organic chemistry, one from Peter. So this is straight from a textbook. So titration, this concept is from organic chemistry, and it involves slowly adding one solution of a known concentration. So we know what that concentration is called, and this is called the titrant. So adding that known solution to a known volume of another solution, but of unknown concentration. So we know one piece of one, but we only know one piece of another. So we're sort of it's like a blind date. We only know a little bit about each, but we're putting them together. So we put them together until the reaction reaches neutralization. So meaning they're mixed together in small doses so they don't overreact and explode. So it's, again, this idea of small bit by bit drops. I mean, I use the example of a blind date or going on a date for the first time. Typically, it's happened, you reach out to the person, you might text them, you might telephone them, you might meet for a coffee, you might meet for a walk, and that's the first titration of getting to know each other. Typically, we don't just go in and marry the person on the first date. That rarely happens. And so we go in bit by bit so that the system can settle, neutralize, etc. So again, that is from pure organic chemistry so that we don't explode and create danger in the labs. Okay, this is a definition now from Peter Levine from his book In an Unspoken Voice, which is subtitled How the Body Releases Trauma and Restores Goodness. And so this was published in 2010. So Peter writes, we use titration to create increasing stability, resilience, and organization in the nervous system. I added those words. Titration is about carefully touching into the smallest drop of survival-based arousal and other difficult sensations to prevent re-traumatization. I use the term titration to denote the gradual step-by-step process of trauma renegotiation. So again, I think some of the more important words from this paragraph are increasing stability, resilience, and organization. Because again, if we think about the human system that has been traumatized, that is still unhealed from trauma, whether current, recent traumas that are shock-based or early traumas from when we were really young and little, to surgical traumas, to seeing things that were bad and scary, all of it. We want to create a system that has more organization, that isn't living in this chaos and out of control land. We want to bring it back together. We want to take the pieces and literally remember them back together so that the system knows where it is, and what is happening internally. Those who are living in a lot of, let's say, post-traumatic stress, in a lot of chronic illness, typically the pieces, the structure is very dysregulated, very disorganized, and very chaotic. And so we want to touch into those underlying, the root layers of survival stress that the system is living with and in little tiny bits, so that we can, it's almost like we're bubbling them up to the surface. They've been hidden in the depths of our physiology, in our psyche, in our movement patterns, in our holding in of emotion, holding in of sensation. Even Peter has said in the past that pain is trapped sensation. So in order to heal chronic pain, we need to untrap that sensation. We have to let it out. We have to be aware that it's there. We have to allow ourselves to feel it. If we don't, we will never heal that trapped pain, or the suffering, or whatever it is that we might be struggling with that feels chaotic internally. So again, to review, this is a very common used concept in the fields of somatic experiencing, the work of Peter Levine. It is also it's becoming used in many other somatic practices. It's the same reason we wouldn't ask someone who has never, at least we hope we wouldn't, who's going to say a yoga class to do 4 hours of yoga in one go and to get them to do a headstand on the first day. Typically that wouldn't happen. I know I sure wouldn't want that to happen. We titrate it. We go step by step. We add little bits of pieces. We rest. We pause. We go home. We let the work process in our body, and then we come back when our system has rested. We don't just do as much as we can in one go in the hopes of, getting to this point of having perfection in that practice. Trauma work, healing trauma, working with the nervous system, working at this neuroplastic level, it takes time. Again, it's not a one-stop shop kind of deal. It's not even a 1 week kind of deal. For many of us, it's not even a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month kind of deal. It can take many, many months, even years, to start to unravel and work with the system. I don't say that to scare anyone or to deter them from doing this work. I'm being realistic in knowing, working with the thousands of people I have, what I've seen my colleagues do with their practices, when I've watched Peter work, we need to go slow. We need to be titrated in our work. We need to be smart, and we also have to ensure that the body can process what we were doing. When we process what we are doing, we build foundation, we build solidity. As he said, we reorganize the system back into a more resilient, supple, in control organism that can be healthy and that can be in good regulation. So again, quick review. This is a video on this concept of titration. It really comes down to this importance of doing slow, drop by drop, little tiny pieces of work so that we're not putting more overwhelm in the system. If anything, we're reverse engineering that overwhelm by feeling little tiny bits of it, being with it, feeling it, integrating it, dissolving it, and essentially that is what is healing it. Thank you so much for being here. Again, check the resources in the Show More section. I'll link up Peter's book. I'll link up a few other videos I've done around his work. I'll link up a few other videos that might go really well with this video. Again, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.